All right, here's the thing. Positive psychotherapy, the word positive in this context, derived from Latin word positum. That means the whole, the given, the complete. Please bear in mind, you see, we used to hear that positive means good, but indeed positive means the whole. It means the whole picture. If we deal with different symptoms, problems, and conflicts, so the symptoms and conflicts is indeed not the only thing that is given, the factual. Behind these symptoms, we could see a bigger picture that represents some qualities and capacities. So we try to keep in mind the whole aspect. So in this context, we could see that symptoms and problem would represent some qualities that are available for this particular person, for this particular moment, as a way to deal with the conflict. So here you can see, okay, friends, good, somebody could finally hear me. So from this point, you could see that positive means that some qualities and resources are there already, and some qualities must be developed. And this is the part where positive psychotherapy belongs to humanistic approach. In this sense, positive psychotherapy really focus on not only deficits, but more qualities and capacities and potentials that we could observe behind the symptoms. I give you some examples a little bit later. So, as you noticed, Piasetzky himself creating this transcultural method, he was himself in transcultural situation, being a very Eastern person who was born in Iran. In 50s, he moved to very Western culture, Germany. So he was surprised with the differences he could observe, that the same norms, the same values were experienced very differently. So main approach that this work based on called transcultural, and basically it consists of just two main questions. What do all and how these all people differ? Conflicts, problems, immediately focus us on the differences. Actually, conflicts is about the differences. Let's say when you see a family couple who complain about their problems and their quarreling. So at the same time, we could see that these conflicts represent some needs, unsatisfied needs that, in a sense, keep them together. So we could really think, what keeps you together in spite of these conflicts and problems? I think the tendency of the modern psychology is too much focus on deficits and what is lacking. But if we keep in mind these two ideas, what is still there, we could get really a whole picture. I'll go back to this idea a little bit later. If you look at that illnesses experienced very differently. Let's say in the West, when a person is sick, they would like to stay alone. They would like to stay on their own. And the visits are perceived as social control. They would like to say, please leave me alone. This is my problem. In Eastern cultures, totally opposite. When a person gets sick, this person becomes surrounded with relatives. They encourage visitors, and these visitors, they represent the sympathy, the support, desire to really help you. The same with death. In Western cultures, very often you could see that, please stay away, let me go through my sorrow on my own. And the Eastern culture is the opposite. People stay literally for 40 days in some countries with the dead person and the relatives. This is how they go through this difficult experience helping each other. You know, it's interesting that in different cultures, this idea about death, about health, illnesses is very different, and they value different aspects of this phenomena. So when we deal with clients, different kinds of problem, it doesn't mean we just talk about cultures as countries. Every person has his own culture, even if they were born within the same family. So in this context, when we talk about some conflicts, we would say, what role did it play when you were a child? How was it in your childhood? Who of your parents paid more attention to it? If you look at traditional approach, what really keeps doctor and the patient together? What connects them? That you would realize this is about illness, conflicts, and disorders. The only thing that sometimes really connects these two people. Piaseczkian told us that in previous times, a doctor was paid until his patient stayed healthy. As soon they got sick, he would lose his salary. So the doctor was more oriented to keep clients healthy, more oriented to prevent the diseases. But as I mentioned before, symptoms and disorders are not the only thing that factual and given. It represents the capacity. So when we look at the symptom, we try to see the meaning and the function and the capacities that are behind. I give you some examples. Depression. Everybody know what is depression. Low mood, slow thinking, slow movement, slow motion. But this is not the whole picture. Depression represents capacity, its ability to react with deep emotionality and take the conflict very close to heart. The same event would not impact us same way. This particular person experiencing depression is able to take this particular problem or conflict so close to heart because for some reasons it's valuable. But when you have this interpretation and we see these capacities behind, now we are able to step back from depression, from the symptom, into conflict. And this is one of if you could trace the symptoms to conflict, you could do a lot of work with the client because now you could see the cause of these symptoms, because we perceive symptoms as a valuable way to deal with the problem. There's no, I never experienced I never saw people who dreamed to be alcoholics since their childhood, but there are a lot of alcoholics. What happens? If you look at alcohol, you could see that in low dosage, it has a lot of positive aspects. It reduces pain, it gives you warmth, it could, in low dosage, give you some energy. It brings you in peace with your self-esteem. It eliminates any barriers in communication. That's why people take alcohol or any other substances. They do not want to kill themselves from liver disease. They want to solve some of their current conflicts. So in this sense, alcoholism represents an ability, the unbearable conflicts make temporarily bearable. This is the main meaning. This is how we see the meaning and function of this symptom. All right? Laziness, ability to avoid achievement demands. That's interesting that the same event would not be experienced with the same emotions. We could see that this particular person is able to put aside all the events, all the achievement demands, and being able to spend time on his own. Frigidity, very interesting symptom. In more than 95%, it's psychological problem, nothing to do with biology. It represents an ability to say no by the body without words. It's psychological anesthesia from feelings. Phobias or fears represents an ability to avoid situations and objects which are experienced as threatening. Isn't it interesting why this particular object or situation is experienced as threatening? Again, now we could trace back to the past experience. You could see what concepts there behind. What experience did you go through in order to create this a picture of this situation? Because fears and anxiety, this is a symptoms which connected with the future. This is ability to avoid situations which did not happen yet. You see, again, if we look at this whole instrument, we try to see the meaning and the function of these symptoms despite of the problem that it causes right now. Let's say psychosis, schizophrenic psychosis. Its ability to escape into fantasies, ability to stay with away from a reality that experiences as difficult. I had a client with schizophrenia who, in his psychosis, was just a hero. In his real life, he's a very humble person who has very difficult communication with his classmates. But in psychosis, he was really a strong man who was able to do anything, who in his fantasy expected that different secret services search for him in order to hire him for his job. So only in this fantastic way, this person could compensate his deficits. Isn't it interesting?